You're not failing, but something in your chest doesn't believe that. You scroll through someone's life. A new job, a relationship, a home, and for a moment, your own life feels smaller. Not bad, just behind. Like everyone received a timeline you were never shown, and somehow, you're already late. This feeling has a name. It's not laziness. It's not failure. It's not even unhappiness. It's something much more specific and much more human. Psychologists call it social comparison theory. In 1954, Leon Festinger proposed that humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate themselves, not against their own progress, but against other people. Your brain doesn't ask, "Am I growing?" It asks, "Am I keeping up?" And here's where it gets painful. Your brain is running this comparison every single day, often without you noticing. A friend gets promoted, your brain notes it. A peer buys a house, your brain files it. Someone your age is engaged, your brain starts calculating. Not because you're jealous, not because you're small, but because comparison is how your brain has always measured safety. And the modern world has made this unbearable, because for most of human history, you only compared yourself to the people in your village. 20, maybe 30 people. Now your brain is comparing you to millions, every day, in real time. Before we go further, the feeling of being behind is not evidence that you are behind. It is evidence that your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do: comparing, measuring, scanning for gaps. The pain you feel isn't a verdict on your life. It's a misfiring of a system that was never designed for Instagram. Here's what nobody tells you. There is no timeline, not a real one. The ages by which you're supposed to have done things, finished school, found a partner, bought something, become someone. Those aren't biological facts. They're social agreements, made by people who are also just guessing. Here's what's actually happening inside your brain. When you see someone ahead of you on a path you also want to be on, your brain activates the same neural circuit used to detect physical threats. The anterior cingulate cortex, the same region we explored in our last video on envy, fires a warning signal. Gap detected, status threat, respond, and your brain offers two responses to that gap. The first is inspiration, close the gap by moving forward. The second is despair. The gap is too wide. I've already lost. Which response your brain chooses depends almost entirely on one thing: whether the person you're comparing yourself to feels reachable. This is what psychologists call social comparison direction. Upward comparison, comparing yourself to someone significantly further ahead, almost always produces despair. Lateral comparison, comparing yourself to someone at roughly your level, can produce motivation. But here's the problem with the modern world. Social media is engineered to show you exclusively upward comparisons. Highlights, peaks, arrivals, never the years of ordinary days that happened in between. You are comparing your entire journey, including the parts no one sees, to someone else's carefully curated surface. So how do you work with this instead of being crushed by it? Principle 1. Audit your comparison inputs. Your brain compares what it sees. If you feed it an unbroken stream of people succeeding, it will conclude that everyone is succeeding except you. This isn't weakness. It's neuroscience. The brain's reticular activating system filters reality based on what it's primed to notice. Show it success everywhere. It stops seeing the ordinary everywhere else. Curation isn't avoidance. It's calibration. Principle 2. Switch from social timelines to personal trajectories. A timeline measures you against a fixed external point. A trajectory measures you against your own previous position. The question isn't, am I where they are? The question is, am I further than I was? 1 year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. When you measure trajectory instead of timeline, your brain gets accurate data for the first time. Principle 3. Understand the hidden variable. Everyone you're comparing yourself to has variables you cannot see. Support systems, financial head starts, mental health advantages, relationships that open doors, failures that haven't arrived yet. The comparison was never fair. It was never the same race. It was never even the same distance. Knowing this isn't an excuse. It's an accurate reading of what you're actually looking at. Principle 4. Use envy as information, not verdict. When you feel that sting, someone got something you wanted, don't suppress it. Don't shame it. Ask it one question. What does this tell me about what I actually want? Envy is remarkably precise. You don't feel it about things you don't care about. It only shows up in the exact direction your life wants to move. Use it as a compass, not a judge. Principle 5. Protect the middle. Everyone celebrates the start. Everyone celebrates the arrival. Nobody talks about the middle. The long, unspectacular stretch where nothing looks impressive from the outside, but everything is being built on the inside. Most people abandon the middle, not because they quit, but because it doesn't look like what success is supposed to look like while it's happening. The middle is not falling behind. The middle is the work. Here's the mental model to carry with you. There are 2 lines. One is a timeline, fixed points, external, set by consensus, measured against others. One is a trajectory, directional, personal, measured only against where you started. The feeling of being behind only exists on the first line. It cannot exist on the second one, because the second line has no one else on it. Every time you feel behind, you've accidentally stepped onto someone else's line. The work is simply to step back onto your own. You are not behind. You are on a different path, moving at a different pace, carrying different weight, building something different. And the reason it feels slow, the reason the middle feels invisible, is that real things take real time. The people you're comparing yourself to, they also lay awake some nights, wondering if they're enough. Comparison doesn't stop when you arrive. It just finds a new gap to measure. The only way out is not forward, it's inward. Your timeline is not late, it's yours, and that is exactly enough.